Hey there, Lorinda here. I want to talk to you really quick about a productivity hack that I just discovered this morning that's going to help me. So, usually, when I am ready to create a timestamp for something, I use /D. /D puts in the day, the date, and the time. And that is coming from a little extension called TextBlaze. TextBlaze uses this format here, day, month, and the hour. And what I discovered this morning, that if I take a picture of the emoji for a life ring, put it in front of this time stamp format, then it will also put the life ring before everything that I'm time stamping. Now, why it's important to me to put the life ring before I'm time stamping something is because if you remember in the purpose-driven life project video, when I was doing the overview of Snagit and scripture notes, in Numbers 2, it talked about how the camps of the children of Israel were to encamp around the tabernacle. And that prompted me to come up with a logo that looked like this. Okay, so it's coming up. This is the logo. And for me, what this represents is the presence of God. The presence of God in the center of everything that we're doing. So I began putting the life ring before I put his timestamp, because if you recall, Psalm 16:11 reads, "Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore." Now, doesn't that just sound like something that you want in your everyday? Especially when you're time stamping something, it just reminds me. It's just a little trigger for me to remember that the Lord is always present and I can always be at peace because He is always here. This is the Blue Letter Bible, and if you go down to look at the Hebrew word for joy, it is simha. Semha. Okay, so if we click in to it and let him read it.
Strong's H 8057. Simcha. Simcha.
Look at what it means. Joy, mirth, gladness, gaiety, pleasure, joy of God, glad result, happy issue. Isn't that what we want in our life? Like all the time, every day, all day long, fullness of joy. So before, I didn't have this part, the life ring in, and I would have to manually copy and paste the ring in to remember it, to remember to do that. Now I can just type the /D wherever I am. If I'm in the thought stream, I call it the thought stream part of the Basecamp app, I can use it there, /D, and it puts in my life ring and the timestamp. How great is that? It also works in things like Google Docs. I love that for when I'm taking documentation or I'm updating an operating procedure to, just timestamp when it happened. It also works in OneNote online. OneNote is kind of the center of the thought management system. I made a video on that, so go and watch that if you are interested in knowing how I was thinking about the thought management system. So it works in OneNote online. It doesn't work in the desktop version, however, because it does have to go back and communicate with TextBlaze. So next I was like, hey, I need my own version of this life ring because the one in the emojis doesn't look exactly the same. So there's another one here. Joy Pixels is another extension, and I like to use it because I can go in here. This is like my favorite little signature here. A heart, a life ring, and a heart. That's like my version of XOXO, you know? So when you put it in there, it copies down here. It's already copied. And you go where you like. In this case, if I go to Snagit and I paste that in there, I get these emojis. But of course you can, if you look at it, it is really jagged on the edges. And so I put it into this program, and this one is called Vectorizer.ai. I wanted to get rid of these little pieces that are kind of hanging over here, the little bumps. I wanted all the sides to be straight. I use another free app called Photopea, and I took out all the sides. So now it's like a rounded rectangle of my life ring. And if we export here, export, let's do a PNG and save. But it didn't save the transparency. To get it back transparent in Snagit, you can delete. And because it selected something, you know there's something there. So you can use the magic wand to get rid of those pieces and to know if you've gotten them all. If you do canvas color and change it to some kind of color on the background, you can see I want to leave this part white because that represents the presence of the Lord. You know how the children of Israel wore Tallit on their garments, on the hems of their garments, as a reminder to keep the law and to obey the law? This feels like that to me, that it is just a reminder that God is always present. This first one, before I added this stuff, this was only 182 by 189. But when I put it inside of the Vectorizer, it said it's 182 by 189. But when it came out of here, when I opened it in here and tried to save it, the size was bigger. Okay, so if it was too small, there is another tool called Upscale.media, and you can just upload the image right here and it will analyze it, and it made it bigger right here. So you can see the difference in the original. And there are some options down here. Upscale. What if we tell it to upscale 4 times? Enhance quality. I don't know what that's going to do, but we're going to see. Well, I guess it was a pretty good image to start with. Yeah. Around the eyes, you can tell a little bit. But anyway, that's a pretty picture. That's a pretty picture there. So yeah, that I wanted to show you that. So that is a quick productivity hack that will always help you remember to keep the presence of the Lord in the center of everything we do.